have never met a person who didn't like a good dessert treat. And in this part of the world, custard is something that we enjoy, but most people only know how to enjoy custard with savory dishes like moi moi, akara, breads, and things like that. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to put your custard to good use by showing you how to make 4 very yummy dessert treats using just one custard base. Let's get right into it, shall we? We're going to get started with the custard base because I'm going to be using just one base for all of the 4 dessert treats that I'm going to be making today. So for the custard base, you'll be needing just 4 ingredients. Some custard. I'm using the ordinary flavor of the custard. Some sugar to sweeten things up. Even though I also suggest that you do away with the sugar, especially if you were trying to keep things very healthy, because some of the dessert treats I'm going to be making will be using a lot of things that are quite sweet. But just for the sake of making the base, I'm going to be using some sugar. You can use honey as the perfect alternative. Then of course I'm going to be using some milk, and to make things extra creamy, I'll be using cooking cream. So that's all the ingredients we'll be using for the custard base. And remember I said that we're using this custard base for all of the 4 dessert treats I'll be making today. So let's make the custard base, shall we? So in Nigeria, when we're making custard, usually we dissolve the custard in some water, then pour some hot water over the top. But I'm going to be doing something completely different. I have my pot already heating up medium heat. I'm going to start by adding the milk into the pot along with some cooking cream. Cooking cream has a way of thickening up the base and making it extra rich and flavorful. This is totally optional if you do not want to add the cooking cream. Now at this point, I'm going to add some sugar as well because I want to sweeten things up. I'll give it a good stir just to combine everything together nicely. Then I'll cover up the pot and then bring this to a very gentle simmer. While it is simmering, I'm going to come over here and dissolve the custard in a little bit of milk just so I can form a custard slurry. Okay, I'm using milk. You can use water, but I prefer milk because I want to maintain the creaminess of this custard base as much as possible. Okay, so just mix that around until it is perfectly dissolved. Oh, the aroma of this custard is so nice. What you want to achieve is a slightly runny texture. So now that we have the custard all dissolved, I'll check on the milk. Now you don't want your milk to boil. You don't want it to boil up. If not, you're going to develop lumps in the custard base. You just want the milk to just heat up slightly, and then you now gently start to transfer the dissolved custard into the pot, and then as you're transferring it in, you're whisking so that no lumps are formed in the custard base. Okay, so I'll just whisk that together. You can see that as you add the custard into the milk, it starts to thicken up slightly. That's exactly what you want, and you want to ensure that it's still very smooth. So you just keep whisking continuously on medium to low heat. Remember, not high heat. You want to keep the base very nice and very smooth. So just keep whisking that. You can see how smooth this has become. So you see how it has thickened up nicely. The consistency is very smooth. That's exactly what you want. But at this point, I think that this custard base is perfect and good to go and ready for us to whip up some mouth-watering dessert treats. So I'm just going to take off the custard base off the heat and then just give it some time and allow it to cool down. And while it is cooling down, we will get started with the first dessert treat. I don't have names for my dessert treats, but for the very first one, these are all the ingredients that we'll be using for it. Now, of course, over here, I already have cooled down custard base that we just made. This is what it looks like. Then I'm also going to be using some biscuits. Now, I'm using some Lotus biscuit because I find that this is my preferred choice. The biscuit is sweet and it adds some flavor to this dessert as well. But again, you can use whatever biscuits that you have on hand. I'm also going to be using some cake slices. Now, whatever cake you have is fine. You can even buy the store-bought ones. This one is from Lush Treats. Then over here, I just have the crumbled up Lotus biscuits. I crumbled them up into really tiny pieces. And then it's the same thing for this. I just cut this one into bite-sized chunks. Then over here, I have some melted butter as well. And then finally, so this is the Lotus spread that I'm using. If you can't lay your hands on this, you can use peanut butter or any other type of nut butter that you have on hand. And then here I have the plates, really nice cute plates that I'm going to be serving this in. And yeah, we have all of the ingredients ready to go. Let's assemble the very first yummy dessert recipe. And please, in the comment section, if you have a name for this first one, please let me know what we should call it, because it's our yummy dessert treats. Okay. Okay, so the first things first is I'm gonna take the crumbled lotus biscuit and transfer it into a bowl. Then I'll pour the melted butter, not a lot. You just want to bind the crumbled biscuits together. This is a fancy dessert treat that you can pretty much whip up in less than 10-15 minutes if you have all the ingredients on hand. So we just mix that together. Okay, so when it's all mixed and the biscuit has soaked up all of the butter, you grab whatever plate or dish you want to assemble your dessert in. The beautiful thing is you can actually also assemble this dessert in a glass cup if you want. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is now divide this butter and biscuit mixture into half. This will form the base for the dessert in the dish, and then you just firmly press it to the bottom so that it packs up. Ensure that it is firmly packed together at the base. You don't want any holes or any picks, okay? Alright, so that's done. What I'm going to do next is take the lotus biscuits that I have also cut into bite-sized chunks. You can use whatever biscuits that you have, and I'm just going to scatter that around over the top to still help form the base for the dessert treat. And then I'll grab my cake slices. So I'm just going to cut it up into half so that it will fit the bowl that I'm using. You just ensure that you shape up your cake to fit the bowl. So I'm just cutting it up in pieces. Okay, if you like a very sweet tooth, then you definitely would fancy or love this particular dessert treat. So what I'm going to do next is grab the custard that has cooled down perfectly. You can see that it's still nice and very smooth, and I'm just going to generously place that in the bowl or in the dish that I'm using to serve. Look at that. I'll do that for the second bowl. Just ensure that you generously cover the entire surface with the custard. This looks pretty. Next thing is I'm going to just microwave the lotus spread just so that it comes into a runny consistency. So I'm just going to take the microwaved lotus spread and just drizzle that right on top of the custard like so, just to form a very nice pretty pattern. Finally, I'm also going to take some of the crumbled up biscuits and just transfer that over the top as well, just to finish things up nicely. That is looking very good. Now you can serve this up just as is like this, or you can put it in the fridge, allow it to cool down until it is cold. I think the colder, the better in my opinion. But this is pretty much dessert number 1, all done. Looks pretty, smells divine, and it's one dessert that you definitely would want to try out when you're having maybe fun things in your house. You want to just impress your guests and make them think that you actually put in a lot of effort into something. This is definitely the dessert treat to make. So if you have a name for it, please leave it in the comment section down below. So I'm just going to place this in the fridge, allow it to cool down, and then we proceed to making the second dessert. Okay, so for the second dessert treat, we can call this one a strawberry. I'm not sure. Help me figure that out in the comment section down below. But these are all the ingredients that I'm going to be using for this one. And this dessert treat is somewhat of a healthy dessert treat because I'm incorporating some healthy ingredients like chia seeds. I'm using soaked chia seeds that I have just soaked in some milk. I'm also using some strawberries. And then, of course, the custard base that we made earlier. Now, if you notice, I have the custard base in 2 ramekin dishes. I'm going to color up one of the custard bases with a food coloring to give it a pink color, and then we're going to layer everything up in the glasses. It will look so pretty, so divine. Now I have cut up the strawberries into slices and chunks. It will also help make things extra pretty. When you're working with dessert, it's important to note that your dessert treats have to be very fancy, very pretty. So when you're chopping up all of your ingredients, ensure that everything you're using would come out pretty after you're done assembling it. So with that being said, let's assemble the second dessert treat, shall we? Okay, so the first things first I want to do is, remember I said that I have 2 custard bases here. For the first one, I want to change it into a nice pink color, and I'm going to be using food coloring to achieve that. Add just a little bit, and then you just mix that together to combine. You can pretty much use any color of your choosing. It's totally up to you. Yeah. Okay. So you can see that we've achieved a perfect pink color. You can make yours deeper, whatever color it is you like. You can use the food coloring of your choice. It's time to just assemble things in the glass cup. So first things first, I'm going to take the plain custard base and just transfer that into the glass. Again, you can layer this up however you like. Then what I'm going to do next is take the strawberry slices and just place that over the top of the custard, forming a nice pattern so that it just goes around like so. And then because I also want it to peek from the sides of the glass, I'll put some just at the sides like that as well. Then next up, I'm going to take the chia seed that I have soaked in some milk and just transfer that right at the center. This is such a pretty looking dessert. And then take the custard with the pink coloring and just put that right on top of the chia seeds like so. This is so pretty and I like it. It looks very colorful too. And then finally, to finish things up, I'm just going to put the strawberry chunks right on top of it just to make things extra pretty. And yeah, that's the first dessert cup done. Tell me that this doesn't look pretty. I love it. Looks absolutely delightful. I'll just proceed to layering up the second one now. That is definitely a very colorful dessert treat. And then I think that this can actually also pass for breakfast as well. Looks so good. Yeah, that looks pretty. I like what I see. This definitely will draw all the attention of your guests to you if you're serving this for a special function or a special occasion or even for your family and friends. Give them a treat sometime. This looks absolutely pretty. So you can enjoy this just as is, or you can put it in the fridge, allow it to chill. Again, the colder, the better. Okay? Alright, so that's the second dessert treat all done. Let me put that in the fridge and then we get started with the third one. Tell me you like this, right? Tell me you like it, because I know I do. Now, this third dessert treat is also a dessert treat that can actually pass as breakfast. And it's a simple berry custard smoothie. And for this, you'll be needing some berries. I'm using blueberries and strawberries. You can use whatever berries that you have on hand. And then, of course, our custard base, still very creamy, nice, and it's very much cooled down already. I'm using some H&K Greek yogurt. You guys know that I'm a brand ambassador. This is a brand. So yeah, I'm definitely using this. And I highly recommend it for anyone who is looking for a very good brand of Greek yogurt in Nigeria. And then finally, some honey just to sweeten things up. Okay, everything is going to be happening in the blender. We're just going to transfer all the ingredients in here, blend up, and boom, the third dessert treat is ready to be devoured. Let's get right into it, shall we? So in goes the strawberries. Yes, the green part of the strawberries are totally edible. So you don't have to peel them off if you don't want to, but if you want to, by all means, peel them off. Next up, some blueberries. Then, of course, the custard base. Ooh, see how lush that is. Then to make things extra creamy, some H&K Greek yogurt. This is definitely a healthy, divine treat. And then, of course, just to sweeten things up, a dash of honey. And that's pretty much it. I cover up the blender and then I'll blend this up. At that beautiful, colorful dessert. Now, to serve this up, I'm just going to put it in the glass cup and take it as a smoothie. Look at that creamy goodness. You can actually certainly call this a balanced diet because it has the carbohydrates from the custard, it has protein from the yogurt, it has vitamins, minerals, fiber from the strawberries. This is definitely something you should inculcate into your breakfast and of course your dessert recipes. I'm just going to put this in the fridge, allow it to chill, and then we'll get started with the fourth dessert treat. Let's do this. Now to the final dessert treat, I'm going to be making a custard banana loaf. I'm going to be infusing the custard base into the banana loaf. I have all my ingredients prepped and ready to go. Of course, I have some unripe bananas over here. I have my custard base here, some all-purpose flour, the sugar. This is margarine, which I'm going to be melting, but you can use butter if you have. And then I'm going to be using some eggs, baking soda, baking powder, nutmeg and cinnamon, some salt, and then of course the flavoring of choice. So first things first, I'm going to peel up the bananas. I'm using some overripe bananas for this. This is pretty much like making your regular banana loaf. And this recipe is very quick. It will give you fluffy banana loaves afterwards. So just mash up the bananas with a fork. Alrighty. So that's all mashed up now. What I'm going to do next is crack open 2 eggs into the mix. Then add a 1/4 cup or maybe 1/8 cup of my melted butter. Sorry, I'm using margarine, not butter, okay? Then a dash of banana flavoring, just to amplify the banana taste and give it all a good mix, just to combine everything together. This is a quick, oof, that banana smell just hit me, boom. At this point, I'm also going to add some of that custard base. I'm going to put the full exact recipe or measurements in the description box so you can check it out. Just add that in there and then give it all a good mix again. Then after mixing up the wet ingredients, I'm going to come over here and add all-purpose flour. I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Then I have some sugar. I think this is about 3/4 cups of sugar. Then I'm also going to add some cinnamon and nutmeg, baking soda and baking powder. You cannot miss that. And then some salt. Then I'm mixing everything together to combine. It's important that at this point you're not over mixing the batter. You just want to mix until it is fully mixed and then you stop mixing. Okay, so let's just mix this quickly together. So you can say that you're using the custard base as a substitute for milk in this recipe. Okay, so once the batter is all mixed in, all that's left to do is just grab a baking pan. This one I have lined with some parchment paper, and then I'm going to transfer the entire batter into the baking pan like so. It's going to be one rich, beautiful, tasty banana loaf. I'm going to grab some of that Lotus biscuits that we used earlier, and I'm just going to crumble the biscuits just on top. Remember, it's a dessert treat, so the sweeter the better. And afterwards, it's a matter of baking this in a 180 degrees preheated oven for about 30 to 35 minutes or until the batter is formed into a banana loaf. Okay, guys, the cake looks so good, smells so divine. Ooh, look at that goodness, guys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab a cooling rack real quick, then take out the cake from the pan and place it on the rack. This definitely looks so divine. Now tell me that doesn't look pretty. I'm just gonna let this cool for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's the hardest part, waiting for it to cool down. So this has been cooling for a bit now. I just want to cut it up into slices. Oh, it's still hot though. Still very hot, but the girl cannot wait. It's still very hot, but I just wanted to show you how soft and moist it is. Imagine serving this with some of that custard base or some Greek yogurt, a strawberry sauce or blueberry sauce. Just think about it. So I have all 4 desserts in front of me. This kitchen feels like dessert heaven right now, and I'm about to give each one of them a taste. Let's start with the very first one, which is, what are we calling this? Please let me know what we're calling the very first one in the comment section down below. You see, the custard is still nice and creamy. It's still very smooth as well. Dessert heaven, guys. Cheers. I'm not so big on sweet things. I don't have a sweet tooth, but you see this particular recipe, it will become my secret indulgence or my guilty pleasure. Moving right along to the second one. This one has a healthy treat to it. I love this one because it doesn't really have a lot of sugar in it. The third one is a smoothie. This one I like. This one is a regular in my house. And then the fourth one, of course, is the cake. The cake is nice and moist. Something you can do with the cake is you can just take some of this one, or you can serve it with the smoothie if you like, or just lather on some of the custard base or some Greek yogurt, whichever one works perfectly. It tastes good. I promise you it does. So now you know how to make 4 yummy dessert treats using custard. If the only way you used to make custard before now was to pour some hot water over the dissolved custard, please start putting your custard to very good use. Make some yummy dessert treats for yourself, your family members. Use it to make or add a touch of class to your events. And I tell you, you can actually even start this as a business. Yeah, this is really good to add if you already have a dessert business. You can add these recipes to your menu so that people can actually also buy from them. Because trust me, I would definitely pay good money to enjoy this. That's all I have for you for today's episode. If you have learned a thing or two, let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know, of course, which one you'll be trying out first. I really love to read your comments. And if you'll be trying out any one, don't forget to take pictures and share on your socials, especially Instagram, and then of course tag me. I love to see your recreations. They make me so happy. All right guys, I'll see you next time with another episode. Until then, remember to be very kind to one another, love yourselves generously, and it's me, the queen of fun and fast cooking, saying bye bye for now. Take care.